Welcome to Canadian Family Official Channel. Canadian Citizenship Test Part 4. Please subscribe, like and comment. Practice questions 151 to 200 in this video.
The elected part of the Parliament is known as Number 1 the House of Commons, Number 2 the Senate, Number 3 the House of Lords, Number 4 the House of Representatives. And the answer is the House of Commons. The basis of the Canadian justice system is Number 1 the circumstantial evidence, Number 2 the presumption of guilt, Number 3 the burden of proof, Number 4 the presumption of innocence. And the answer is the presumption of innocence. Who was the first constitutional monarch of Canada? Number 1 King Edward VII. Number 2 Queen Victoria. Number 3 Queen Elizabeth II. Number 4 King George II. And the answer is Queen Victoria. In 1967 Canada began its own honor system called Number 1 the Canadian Medal, Number 2 the Cross of Canada, Number 3 the Canadian Knighthood, Number 4 the Order of Canada. And the answer is the Order of Canada. Which province is the house of highest tides in the world? Number 1 Prince Edward Island, Number 2 Nova Scotia, Number 3 British Columbia, Number 4 Newfoundland and Labrador. And the answer is Nova Scotia. How many Acadian deported during 1755 to 1763 was also known as Great Upheaval? Number 1 all, Number 2 2/3, Number 3 2/4, Number 4 1/3. And the answer is 2/3. French colonists begin to settle in the maritime provinces in Number 1 1624, Number 2 1594, Number 3 1724, Number 4 1604. And the answer is 1604. European explorers called the native people Indians because Number 1 native peoples introduced themselves as Indian. Number 2 they believed that native people migrated from Asia. Number 3 they thought they reached the East Indies. Number 4 they thought they looked like Indians. And the answer is they thought they reached the East Indies. What is the final step before a bill become a law? Number 1 approved by the Queen. Number 2 approved by the Prime Minister. Number 3 approved by the Governor General. Number 4 approved by a judge. And the answer is approved by the Governor General. Which region covers more than 1/3 of Canada? Number 1 Northern Territories, Number 2 South Region, Number 3 North Region, Number 4 Southern Territories. And the answer is Northern Territories. What is a minority government? Number 1 the party in power holds less than half of the seats in the House of Commons. Number 2 the party in power holds less than half of the seats in the House of Commons and the Senate. Number 3 the party in power holds at least half of the seats in the House of Commons. Number 4 the party in power holds at least half of the seats in the Senate. And the answer is the party in power holds less than half of the seats in the House of Commons. Which of the followings are the responsibilities of provincial government? Number 1 Education, Healthcare, Natural Resource and Policing. Number 2 Nation Defense, Healthcare, Citizenship and Firefighting. Number 3 Education, Foreign Policy, Natural Resource and Policing. Number 4 Nation Defense, Foreign Policy, Highways and Aboriginal Affairs. And the answer is Education, Healthcare, Natural Resource and Policing. Which province is one of the most productive agricultural regions in the world? Number 1 Manitoba. Number 2 Saskatchewan. Number 3 British Columbia. Number 4 Alberta. And the answer is Saskatchewan. What does mobility rights mean? Number 1 Being able to use any mobile phone service in Canada. Number 2 Being able to live and work anywhere in Canada. Number 3 Being able to live and fish anywhere in Canada. Number 4 Being able to play hockey anywhere in Canada. And the answer is being able to live and work anywhere in Canada. What is the Okanagan Valley famous for? Number 1 Coal mines. Number 2 Lakes and fishing. Number 3 Fruit orchards. Number 4 Sunrise and sunset. And the answer is fruit orchards. What are the 2 official languages of Canada? Number 1 Inuktitut and English. Number 2 French and Inuktitut. Number 3 English and French. Number 4 Mandarin and English. And the answer is English and French. How are members of Parliament chosen? Number 1 Elected by senators. Number 2 Elected by the Prime Minister. Number 3 Chosen by the Queen. Number 4 Elected by Canadian citizens. And the answer is elected by Canadian citizens. Who appoints the judges of the Supreme Court of Canada? Number 1 The Governor General. Number 2 The Prime Minister. Number 3 Other judges. Number 4 The people. And the answer is the Governor General. From where did the first European settlers in Canada come? Number 1 Germany. Number 2 England. Number 3 France. Number 4 Iceland. And the answer is France. What is the name of the royal anthem of Canada? Number 1 Great Canada. Number 2 O Canada. Number 3 God Save the Queen or King. Number 4 O Canada. And the answer is God Save the Queen or King. What is written on an election ballot? Number 1 The names of the candidates in your election district. Number 2 Who you should vote for. Number 3 The date and time you are allowed to vote. Number 4 Where you should vote. And the answer is the names of the candidates in your election district. Which province has the most bilingual Canadians? Number 1 British Columbia. Number 2 Quebec. Number 3 Ontario. Number 4 Prince Edward Island. And the answer is Quebec. When is Canada Day? Number 1 November 5th every year. Number 2 July 1st every year. Number 3 June 30th every year. Number 4 July 31st every year. And the answer is July 1st every year. In what year did Canada become a country? Number 1 1867. Number 2 1687. Number 3, 1786. Number 4, 1678. And the answer is 1867. What do you call the Queen's representative in the provinces? Number 1, Governor-Lieutenant. Number 2, Queen's Governor. Number 3, Lieutenant Governor. Number 4, Governor General. And the answer is Lieutenant Governor. Which act granted, for the first time in Canada, legislative assemblies elected by the people? Number 1, the Constitutional Act of 1982. Number 2, the Constitutional Act of 1891. Number 3, the Constitutional Act of 1791. Number 4, the Constitutional Act of 1972. And the answer is the Constitutional Act of 1791. When did settlers from France first establish communities on the St. Lawrence River? Number 1, late 1600s. Number 2, early 1700s. Number 3, late 1700s. Number 4, early 1600s. And the answer is early 1600s. Which region is known as the industrial and manufacturing heartland of Canada? Number 1, Atlantic provinces. Number 2, Prairie provinces. Number 3, Central Canada. Number 4, West Coast. And the answer is Central Canada. When is Remembrance Day celebrated? Number 1, July 1st. Number 2, October 6th. Number 3, November 11th. Number 4, November 20th. And the answer is November 11th. Where do the majority Métis live in Canada? Number 1, the Maritimes. Number 2, Prairie provinces. Number 3, the North. Number 4, Central Canada. And the answer is Prairie provinces. Which of the following are the responsibilities of Canadian citizenship? Number 1, protect the Canadian environment and vote in elections. Number 2, obey the law, find work in the government and serve in Canadian Army. Number 3, serve in the Canadian Army, obey the law and take responsibilities for oneself and one's family. Number 4, obey the law, serve on a jury, vote in elections, and help others in the community. And the answer is obey the law, serve on a jury, vote in elections, and help others in the community. Why are the Great Lakes important to Canada? Number 1, they provide water for irrigation. Number 2, they provide fresh water and waterways. Number 3, they provide waterways. Number 4, they are tourist attractions. And the answer is they provide fresh water and waterways. Who was the first person to draw a map of Canada's east coast? Number 1, Jean Talon. Number 2, Georges Cartier. Number 3, John Cabot. Number 4, Jacques Cartier. And the answer is John Cabot. What are 3 minerals still mined in the territories today? Number 1, lead, gold, and zinc. Number 2, silver, lead, and zinc. Number 3, zinc, gold, and bronze. Number 4, zinc, lead, and aluminum. And the answer is lead, gold, and zinc. Which of the following are the responsibilities of local government? Number 1, education, foreign policy, and transportation. Number 2, healthcare, natural resources, and transportation. Number 3, national defense, healthcare, and transportation. Number 4, social and community health, snow removal and transportation. And the answer is social and community health, snow removal and transportation. What is a major river in Quebec? Number 1, Hudson's Bay. Number 2, Niagara. Number 3, Fraser River. Number 4, St. Lawrence River. And the answer is St. Lawrence River. Who circled the globe in a wheelchair to raise funds for spinal cord research? Number 1, Reginald Fessenden. Number 2, Rick Hansen. Number 3, Terry Fox. Number 4, Gerhard Herzberg. And the answer is Rick Hansen. What does it mean to say Canada is a constitutional monarchy? Number 1, the sovereign, queen or king, approves bills before becoming law. Number 2, the sovereign, queen or king, represents Canadians in Parliament. Number 3, Canada's head of state is a hereditary sovereign, queen or king, who reigns in accordance with the Constitution. Number 4, the sovereign, queen or king, is the lawmaker of Canada. And the answer is Canada's head of state is a hereditary sovereign, queen or king, who reigns in accordance with the Constitution. Who is Canada's biggest trading partner? Number 1, the United Emirates. Number 2, the United States of America. Number 3, the United Kingdom. Number 4, Mexico. And the answer is the United States of America. Which province in Canada is the smallest in land size? Number 1, British Columbia. Number 2, Prince Edward Island. Number 3, Albert. Number 4, New Brunswick. And the answer is Prince Edward Island. What are the first 2 lines of Canada's national anthem? Number 1, O Canada. True patriot, love in all thy sons command. Number 2, O Canada. Our home and native land. True patriot, love in all thy sons demand. Number 3, O Canada. We stand on guard for thee. Number 4, O Canada. Our home and native land. True patriot, love in all thy sons command. And the answer. What does the Canadian flag look like? Number 1, red with a white maple leaf. Number 2, red and white with a bear. Number 3, white with a red border on each end and a red maple leaf in the center. Number 4, red and white with provincial emblems. And the answer is white with a red border on each end and a red maple leaf in the center. Who is the father of Manitoba and defender of Métis right? Number 1, Louis Riel. Number 2, Sir Louis Hippolyte Lafontaine. Number 3, Sir John A. Macdonald. Number 4, Sir William Riel. And the answer is Louis Riel. Which of the following is a non-Canadian not allowed to do? Number 1, leave the country at will. Number 2, contact his/her MP. Number 3, take the Canada Citizenship Test. Number 4, vote in federal and provincial election. And the answer is vote in federal and provincial election. 1/3 of all Canadians live in which province? Number 1, Saskatchewan. Number 2, Quebec. Number 3, Alberta. Number 4, Ontario. And the answer is Ontario. Who was the first leader of a responsible government in the Canada in 1849? Number 1 Louis Riel. Number 2 Sir John A. Macdonald. Number 3 Sir Louis Hippolyte Lafontaine. Number 4 Alec Baldwin. And the answer is Sir Louis Hippolyte Lafontaine. Who recommended that the Upper and Lower Canada be merged and given a responsible government? Number 1 Sir Guy Carleton. Number 2 Lord Durham. Number 3 Sir Louis Hippolyte Lafontaine. Number 4 Sir Courage Etienne Cartier. And the answer is Lord Durham. Who has the right to enter and leave Canada at will? Number 1 Prisoners. Number 2 Members of the Commonwealth. Number 3 Canadian citizens. Number 4 Job seekers. And the answer is Canadian citizens. Who has the right to apply for a Canadian passport? Number 1 British citizens. Number 2 Canadian citizens. Number 3 Any immigrant who has stayed a minimum of 3 years in Canada. Number 4 Wealthy citizens. And the answer is Canadian citizens. What is a responsible government? Number 1 The government is responsible for the well-being of its people. Number 2 The government must take responsibility for any act of war it decides to commit. Number 3 A government that is against corruption. Number 4 The government must resign if it loses a confidence vote in the Assembly. And the answer is the government must take responsibility for any act of war it decides to commit. Thank you for visiting my channel. If you are new, please subscribe, like, share and comment. Don't forget to press bell button.